What up, everybody? Um, I wanted to hopefully, I can tell the story fairly quickly. Um, but it was a story I was telling to a friend of mine. And after sharing the story with her, she said, you need to either write the story down or share it because it could be a blessing to someone. And I was like, I thought about it and I was like, okay, maybe she's right. Um, so it really is a story about two themes. Theme number one is sometimes those things that seem to be a negative or inconvenience can turn out to be a blessing. One and two, they are just little miracles happening every day, and we just need to pay attention to them and acknowledge them when they come. So I was recently on a trip to New Orleans, and I ended up going by myself because the friend I was supposed to travel with, they ended up having a medical issue, so they could not come. So, like the night before, I found out I would be traveling by myself. And then I had been the one who had booked whatever activities we were going to do. And so now I was going to have to take a L on these activities that we had booked. So, which is fine. It's whatever, neither here nor there. Um, but once I got to New Orleans, I actually have a family friend there. So I checked in with her to see if there was anybody who might be able to go to the event with me, whether it take paying for the ticket or just using the ticket, because the ticket was paid for regardless. So whether someone used it or not, it was still paid for. So she ended up asking me if I minded if she extended the invitation to one of her tenants, because she has like a bed and breakfast and she had someone staying there. And so I said, yeah, sure, of course. So she extended the invitation to this guy. This was this white dude from Montana. I'm like, okay. So he and I hung out. We had great conversation. He was saying that him and his family tend to be very shy and not talk very much. But, I'm a talker. So we were able to have a flowing conversation. We had a great time. I loved getting to know him. So to me, it was a win-win, even though it wasn't, money I was getting reimbursed for. So fine, whatever. So then when I got home that evening, back to the hotel, out of the blue, no joke, out of the blue, one of my friends sent me a text that said, it's Give Your Friend Money Day, and she cash apped me $100. Now, the cost of that first event was a little over $100. So I was like, God, you are so good to me. I was so excited that I now have been reimbursed for this first event. She didn't know anything about anything, so I was so grateful. So then the next day I had another event that was also paid for, but didn't have anyone to go. So I was trying to find someone. Our family friend was not able to find someone for this one. And the guy, I did extend the invitation to the guy, but he had plans that next day, so he couldn't attend with me. And so I went to go by myself. Now to add in, I am terrible at losing things. I'm always losing stuff. Okay. So before I even left for the trip, I said a prayer to say, God, please don't let me lose anything. And then before I left out that night, I knew I was going to be bringing my glasses with me, and I didn't have a case for them. I had the little teeny tiny purse. So I said, God, please don't let me lose these glasses. So I leave out, I call an Uber. Uber comes, I get a very nice lady. She was telling me about what things I should check out while I was in New Orleans. We talked the whole time, but as soon as I got in, I said, what are you doing the next couple hours? I'm like, do you have to be driving right now? Excuse me, have to be driving right now? Or would you like to go to this concert with me? I said, because I have an extra ticket and no one to use it. And she was like, oh my God. She was like, I would love to use it, but she was like, I really can't. She was like, I have to make this money. I said, all right, no, that's fine. So I am, like I said, I said a prayer before I left to make sure I don't leave my glasses. But guess what? As I'm walking into the venue, I realize, where are my glasses? Don't have my glasses. So I immediately go back into the Uber app to see if I can get a hold of this driver to see if she can bring my glasses back, because the whole point of why I wore them is so that I could see the stage. And so I get a hold of her and she was like, I am so sorry. She was like, I can bring you your glasses later, but I can't bring them back now. She was like, I'm already too far. I was like, it was just like 5 minutes ago. She said, I know. She was like, but I'm not close anymore. And I'm headed to another job. I said, oh, all right. So fine, whatever. I was pissed. I was annoyed because like I said, the whole purpose of bringing my glasses was so that I could see. So now I wouldn't be able to see, whatever. And so then later on, after we get out of the concert, she calls me just right on time as soon as I'm getting out. And she's like, where are you? I said, oh, I'm just coming out of the event. And she said, oh, I'm already at your hotel. She was like, all right, I'm going to go and come back. And she said, I'll check back with you in a little bit to see if you're back at the hotel. And I was about to say, do you want to come get me? But it was kind of like a quick conversation. So I'm fine, whatever. We already had an Uber on the way and they said it was like 17 minutes. So I was trying not to go outside right away because it just so happened that this period of time that I was in New Orleans, it was freaking freezing. It was cold as hell outside. And so I was trying to stay inside as much as I could, but at some point, they're ushering everybody out of the building. So I went to the Uber section. I still had like over 10 minutes. So I called another friend so I could, they could keep me company while I was waiting for the Uber to come, because it was, like I said, it was brick outside. It was cold. That wind was whipping. I had on just a shirt dress that was thin. My legs were exposed. I was freezing. Okay. So I'm waiting. I'm talking to her. She's distracting me. It's great. But then I keep checking to see how much time is left for the Uber driver to get there. So at one point it got down to 2 minutes. 2 minutes. Next thing I know, I look at it. It says 17 minutes. I said, oh my God. I'm like, no. So then as I'm complaining, I get a call and it's from the original Uber driver. And she's saying, where are you now? And I ended up telling her, I said, I had an Uber. I said, it had gotten down to 2 minutes and then it went back up to 17. I said, and now as I'm telling to her, 2 other women came over to me and was saying, because they heard me, what I was saying. And they were like, that just happened to us too. It keeps recycling. So I'm like, oh shoot. You know what I'm saying? Like, how long am I going to be out here if it recycles again? Like I said, I was already cold as hell. So I'm telling her I'm cold, I'm this, I'm that. I'm like, I don't know when I'm going to get there. So she asked me how much it had cost for me to get her as an Uber. And I told her it was like $25. That was with the tip. And I said, I'll give you 30. I said, scratch that. I'll give you 40 to come and get me right now. And she hesitated for a moment, but she was like, all right, I'll come get you. I was like, oh my God, thank you so much. So she does come to get me. Now, first off, let me say, I left my glasses in this woman's Uber. So, which prompted me to reach out to her to be able to connect with her later to get my glasses. But had I not left my glasses in that Uber, I would not have had this connection to be able to call her, to have someone to pick me up, because like I said, it was recycling. It was happening to other people. I don't know how long I would have been out there had I not left my glasses, connected with her, and had the opportunity to actually reach out to her directly so that I could get rescued. Okay, so I feel like God ordained that, like, even though it seemed like so terrible, like me just being careless, I feel like God set that up for me, for my benefit, to help me, knowing what was going to happen when I came out. I firmly believe that. So that was one. Like, so I was so happy that I was in connection with her, that she was able to come get me. And she said she could see in the system, like, how much, I guess, the volume. And she was like, nobody's going to come get them. She was like, they're going to be able, meaning the other people who were still waiting, they're going to be standing out there for a really long time. And I was like, I'm just so grateful that you came to get me. That's all I could worry about. So then she started telling me, we were just talking, and I was saying to her that, I'm an only child. I have an only child as a daughter, and my mother's an only child. I was like, we got 3 generations going. She was like, that's nothing. She was like, my family is 5 generations of only children. She was like, it ended with me. She was an only child, but she ended up having 2 kids. So she broke the cycle, but she had 5 generations going back of only children. No one has ever said that to me. Like, and I will share that with people sometimes, that I'm an only child and a part of a 3 generations of only children. And no one has come back with no, they're 5 generations. So I thought that was a little off and strange. I'm like, okay, like some kind of weird do type of thing. So whatever. So then she started telling me this other story about her granddaughter told her that her daddy was leaving her mommy for another woman. And I'm like, should she be telling me this story? I'm like, this seemed kind of personal. And she was like, so she said her granddaughter told her she had a picture of the woman. And so she told her granddaughter to show her the picture of who the woman was. And who is the woman? J-Lo. I'm like, J-Lo? I'm J-Lo. I'm like, that's so strange that you're saying that. I said, because I'm J-Lo. I said, literally. I said, my email is J-Lo. I said, my Instagram is J-Lo's Journey. I'm like, I am J-Lo before J-Lo. And so she was like, get out of here. I'm like, yes. So then, and I'm not lying, I still can't remember, there was a third incident of similarity, of synchronicity that occurred with her. I swear, it was something small, but I can't remember what it was right now. That's neither here nor there. But after that happened and there was those two linking things, I was like, So I looked in my wallet because I told her I was going to give her 40. I wanted to see if I had cash. And I did have the cash. I looked in my wallet. I did have 220s. But I swear, as I'm looking in my wallet, God was like, you know that money that your friend gave you? Give it to her. And I'm looking like, I could give her 60. And God is like, give her the $100. I'm like, okay, God. So I asked her if she could drop me off someplace to ATM so that I could, give her the money in cash. And she did. She dropped me off at a gas station that had a Mart. And I got the money out. When I got in the car, I fanned it out for her. I said, God told me to give you this money. I said, I gave her my backstory that there by myself. She already knew that my friend had blessed me with $100 that covered that first event. But I said, God is telling me to give that money to you. And she looked at me and she was like, you're kidding me. I was like, no. She was like, you're going to make me cry. I'm like, what? She was like, you don't know how much this is going to help me. She was like, the reason why she was out and the reason why she could not accept my offer earlier to come to the comedy show was because she said she was trying to make additional money because her grandson had gotten in trouble and she was trying to make extra money for her grandson. And so the fact that I had given her this money was like a blessing to her. And I said, you know what? I said, I'm telling you, I said, I was so mad at myself for leaving my glasses in your car. I said, but I'm telling you, I know it was for a reason. God set this up for my benefit. And then he set me up giving you this money for your benefit so that we could be equally and mutually beneficial for each other. So I firmly believe that God sent us to each other to bless each other, literally. So I was just so grateful that I got into her Uber because it could have been somebody else. Not everybody is all loving and giving and willing to go out of their way. They're not. And she didn't know I was going to give her any extra money. Yes, I said I was going to give her $40, come get me. But she didn't know that I was going to bless her like that just for doing that favor for me. So that's just my way of saying how I said, sometimes things that seem bad, meaning me leaving my glasses, I was so pissed at myself, that was for a reason. And then we were both a miracle to each other. I feel like it all worked out. And it was all part of God's plan. So, sometimes those things that happen to you that are annoying or negative, or you like, why is this happening? Sometimes it might have a positive reason why it's happening. You don't know whether God kept you from going to something because on your way something really bad would happen to you. So you need to think about that sometimes when those things happen that throw you off your game, that you're like, why is this happening? You feel like it's annoying, you're mad about it. Take that moment to say, guess what? Maybe God was protecting me from something. Maybe God was helping me in some way, because sometimes it's as simple as that. But sometimes you never get the reason is never revealed as to why something happened the way it happened. Do you get what I'm saying? Like, it might be that you will never know that the reason why you were prevented from going to that party is because you would have gotten in a car accident on the way. Like, you don't know those things. So I just wanted to tell the story to give some perspective on, like I said, sometimes when those negative things happen, they're for either good reason or they're protecting you for something. And that the fact of how those little miracles happen in everyday life. Like, I was able to be a blessing to her and she was able to be a blessing to me. And I was just so grateful that day. When I got back to that room, I was so grateful. Oh, and then so I ended up following back up with my friend to tell her I got back okay. Here's what happened. I told her what I did. And she ended up talking back to the person who originally gave me the $100. And don't you know, I woke up to another $100 in my account talking about, don't give this one away. So how good is God really? It's crazy. God is amazing. So that's it. That's my story for you. Hopefully it was a blessing in some way. I just felt like I needed to share it. So have a good day. Mwah!